Good morning, brilliant souls. I hope that you're having a lovely beginning of June, starting of summer. So welcome back to a very, very special episode of Coming Home to You with Sparkcast, where joy is medicine, healing is sacred, and remembrance, well, that's the superpower. And each month, we gather with soul-led sisters to explore the things that help us return to our truth, power, and purpose. And this June, in honor of Diversity and Inclusion Month, we're amplifying ancestral wisdom and healing paths that often go unseen, unheard, uncelebrated. Today's guest is a true multi-dimensional quantum medicine woman. I get chills all on my
Mhm.
right side on my left side as I say that. Um, Meet
Wow.
Lumina, and I will have her properly pronounce her true cultural
Spirit
name,
name.
your spirit name. She's a certified healer, psychic, and ancestral alchemist with Mexica, Yaqui, Purepecha, and Mayan roots. She is a 24th generation Mayan cacao ceremonial wisdom keeper, a Karuna He Reiki master, a shamanic practitioner, and Akashic records guide, and internationally accredited therapist in biofield tuning. She has licenses QHHT, NLP, and EFT, timeline therapy, and much more. She brings decades of trauma-informed experiences, both clinical and spiritual, and specializes in soul particle retrieval. So interesting. I love that. Ancestral contract clearing and quantum field healing. Today, she's here to guide us in remembering the power that lives in our stories, in our lineages, and in our souls. So take a deep breath with us, beautiful one, and help me welcome Lumina to the show today. And
Thank you,
remember,
hermana.
yes,
Thank you
welcome.
so much, hermana. I'm so grateful to be with you again. It's always radiant to see you. And first off, I need to say thank you deeply from my heart for stepping so beautifully and radiantly into your purpose and building this community and building this awareness, this safe space that is so needed right now as we're all moving through so much transmuting with the consciousness of the earth, the shift that's happening of the powers, the structures fractalizing, and the feminine coming in and the wave of healing that's coming forward is just so thank you for creating this space, truly.
I wouldn't have had this space if people like you were not like a yes in showing up and in their power too. So it takes a community, it really does. And soul-led leaders like you being a yes to platforms like this is the only way that we can bridge this information
Mm,
together. You
yeah,
know, reach the people, reach your people to reach my people, and back and forth.
agree.
Um, so thank you again. And I just want to remind everybody out there that you're not broken. You never were. You're just becoming and
Right.
you're remembering your true
Right.
essence. So let's begin with our one breath, one heart ritual. And this is just going to help us ground ourselves in this moment, open our hearts to receive, set our intention for what we want to receive and what we are here to create and generate as we spend 45 minutes or an hour together. And anybody who joins live always has the opportunity to have a special VIP Q&A with our speakers. So if you're interested in ever coming on live with the Zoom, just comment VIS for a very important sister invitation to join us on the Zooms every Tuesday at 10 a.m. All right, so before we begin the conversation, I want to invite us all to just get comfortable in where we are and invite us all into a moment of presence. This is a ritual where we return to each time we want to gather in circle. This is our one breath, one heart practice, a way to root, to remember, to connect as
Mm,
one. So wherever you are, just let your shoulders drop, allowing yourself to ground and root your energy. Place one hand over your heart and the other in your womb center, your belly. If it feels safe, I invite you to gently close your eyes and bring to mind something you've been holding on to, a lingering worry, perhaps a tightness or a weight that you're here ready to release. And it's not something we want to fix, we just want to honor it. Now bring your awareness to your root center, the base of your spine, where you ground. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose for 4 counts. As you draw up the breath from your root, up towards your body, the center of your body, up to the crown, top of your head. Hold it at the top for 3, 2, 1. And now with pursed lips, blow out like you're blowing a candle, releasing all that is no longer serving you for 6 counts. Completely empty yourself. Let that heaviness soften. Let your heart open. Let it all go. Now in your mind's eye, picture a golden swirling light in front of you, gently radiating with calmness and love. And as you take a deep breath in, I want you to imagine you sucking in that light, in through your mouth, in through your heart center, feeling it settling into your chest, warming you, enveloping you. Let yourself feel safe, grounded, and loved. Bring to mind one thing that you're grateful for today. I want you to really see it and feel it and allow a smile to percolate on your lips. Bringing a smile to your face helps lift your energies into radiance and joy. It is your first line of defense. Let that gratitude expand in your heart as you breathe out slowly for 8 counts, completely emptying out. And as we take one last inhale, take another moment of gratitude, something that brings joy to your heart. Stack that on top and let it amplify. Let that feeling of gratitude grow and expand in your heart center. Feeling your heart smiling as you smile with your face, as you smile with your whole being. Whisper to your body today, I love you, thank you. And as you slowly, fully exhale, visualize sending that same golden light from your heart to every sister here today and every sister watching us, and to those across the globe who really need it today. See it expanding in their space, allowing connection. Now say the ancient prayer of remembrance, the Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And with one gentle breath, come back to your body, to this moment, to this sacred space where acceptance and love grow. Set an intention now for yourself, for how you want to show up, how you want to receive, and how you want to be held today. And now, with one heart and one breath, we may begin. Thank you.
Thank you.
That
Margarita, that was beautiful.
every time I do it, I just feel more and more grounded in the intention of that whole thing. It's just, so thank you for being the space for that.
Wait, just
All
thank
right.
you. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing us and guiding us through that. The visualization was so radiant.
That means a lot coming from you. Thank you. You hold such beautiful circles every time I'm in your presence. I'm just always in awe and how open you are and such a vessel of love and acceptance and sistership. And I just thank you for the work that you do. It's really important. All right. So here we are with Lumina. Can you please say your spirit name for us?
Absolutely. Hello, familia. Hello, sisters, and anyone else who tunes in. Brothers as well, right? My name is Lumina Xiuhcoatl Ehecahuitzilli, which is my tonali, my Mexica name, and it means the turquoise snake, hummingbird of the wind.
Hummingbird. I see so many hummingbirds, so I'm going to think of you every time I hear that now.
Thank
All
you.
right. So, to our first question, as we soul roots and identity healing. I think that we're all in a space that we're starting to really get into the roots of what our soul intentions are. And Lumina, your healing work is so deeply woven with ancestral lineages and ceremony.
Yeah,
Can you please share with us how reclaiming your cultural identity became a spiritual awakening? And what role of inclusion of ancestral wisdom plays in true soul healing? And
thank
what role
you.
inclusion of ancestral wisdom plays in true soul healing?
No, thank you. That's a very, very perfectly placed question in this time and age, as there's so much coming forward of the Akashic and quantum truth is that, and for those that are not too familiar with it, I want to take you just to understanding yourself as the most vibrant frequency and sound particle expression of the divine soul above. And how does that even come down to be? Okay, so we're going to get onto a little bit of a quantum science train to help you see how powerful you are. You're up there with source in the ethers, 0 point field of creation where nothing is moving. And your consciousness is in a beautiful space. You may be at a ninth dimension consciousness. And you want to go up a little higher. You want to go to the 12th. So source is coming to you because now it's like, okay, well, you got a soul contract pending. What do you think, Margarita? I know it's lovely up here, super delightful, and everything. I mean, you lack nothing, but you have this opportunity to go to this planet called Earth that is about to ascend consciousness, and it's going to mean you're going to reincarnate a couple thousand times because that's your contract with this planet as it ascends. You, as a particle of it, you ascend as well, and that means all of these soul lessons add to reclaiming and reparticleizing, reintegrating your soul particle back into your divine essence above to raise consciousness. So you're like, wow, this is pretty heavy, you know? And you say yes. But it's not just a maybe, because Source doesn't like the maybe. Source wants you to thrive and wildly abandon yourself to your yes. So it was like a boom, the heartbeat of the universe went off and you became sound. First dimensional frequency is sound, dynamic wavelength information. As you vibrated more, and I'm going to use this as an example. Can you hear that? So that is 432 megahertz. That happens to be the frequency of Mother Earth. And you vibrate more, you become, boom, now light, two-dimensional light and sound. Now more density, become light and sound and carbon-based matter, which is this form right here. Soul particle integration is about recognizing the soul contract you made above, because before you descended consciousness, you and Source went over your soul contract and you sat down with all your spirit tribes, which is the 15 to 20 spirit souls you walk down every lifetime, incarnating into different roles with. And then you have the secondary players, which are like the people in your life that maybe they were that amazing teacher in college that was just that said the right thing at the right moment for you and it just shifted your perception, right? But they're not the main players. So you sit down with Source and they're like, well, look, the last couple of lifetimes you really enjoyed being an artist. I mean, you love that incarnation in Paris. Girl, you were living it up. Do you want to write that into this timeline too? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to be Parisian? What do you think? Oh, you choose. Okay, great. According to your soul contract, you choose specifically the ancestral lineage, what you look like, what capacity your physical state's in, everything encompassed with the frequency you choose to birth into. So as we're ascending consciousness, the awareness of why we choose these ancestral lines is because we choose not only to pay in the debt that we have at the soul level to whatever lineage they've been carrying through, but we're also accessing the wisdoms, the rituals, the spirit guides of also those ancestral lines that are awakening in more consciousness because the ancestors, their word for gods was gods because they had no other word for star people, which is really who we're connected to. And so they learned the frequency work of using the voice to access frequency. Why? Nikola Tesla showed this to us, and you can read about it in this book called Punk Science, Entering the Mind of God by Dr. Samantha Manjir Lofton. Highly recommend this book. She's an incredible quantum physicist who looks at the studies of Tesla, and we also have Wilhelm Reich and Einstein, all of them, that saw that every sound has a toroidal field, that you're casting spells with your sounds, with your words, with your thoughts as well. So accessing the roots of our ancestral lines and bringing that into our ritual re-sparks the consciousness in you and the power that you already chose to be birthed into. And that's so vital. When we feel like the shamanic tree of life shows us the roots extending down deep into the heart of Mother Earth, we are the tree, and the ancestors and spirit guide realm is the above.
Wow, so I'm seeing us now then being that bridge, the
Yes,
connection. What a
right.
beautiful visualization.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so what do you think the purpose is? First of all, so I loved how like quantum, soulful, um, matter of fact, you said that. And I think there might be some people out there going, what is she talking about? This sounds so weird and different. I've never heard that. That's not true.
Mm,
But in moments like today, I just want to invite people to get curious without judgment or criticism or looking at through it with your perspective lens, because there's limiting beliefs that are indoctrinated into us to believe that one way is the only way. And right now, because there is an upsurgence, or is that even a word? A surgence of an up leveling of so many of us coming into our truth because we're finally okay with being seen and heard in that light when we used to be quieted. I mean, there were witches being burned at the stake to
right.
silence us, to scare us into submission. And I think we are seeing more than ever the importance of us really standing in our truth because the world and the souls and our sisters and brothers need us to shine that light. So I just want to say thank you for standing so powerfully in your yes and your why of who you are and the truths of our roots. And I do believe as well that we come here with a soul contract, that we choose our family, we choose the situations that we want to encounter simply just to come back to a remembrance. Because we come here forgetting of our true nature so that we can experience that, so that when we remember our truth of love, that we're just compassion and love, I think that feeling is more amplified and we appreciate it because we've been in the lack of it for so long. So what are you, what would you say is the purpose of coming here and reincarnating um, again and again? Like what do you want to share on that with us as far as the reason why we keep kind of coming back and trying different things or over again?
Right, right. Why do we keep repeating is what a lot of my clients will say to me. It's like, oh, I'm so tired of flipping this loop with this particular person or this lover or this situation or this and that. It's, I mean, it's everything in this timeline is meant to create such density for us and create duality for us because it's a binary, right? fractalize and split down into the most simplest form of the positive and negative, the donation, the oscillation, the magnetics, the radiation, everything is just like constant flux and flow in order to create that wavelength that we originally are, the sound frequency. And so when we are repeating patterns, they're not just in this timeline, but they're oftentimes at the quantum level happening in other dimensions that we here term as past lives. But they're at the quantum level. Everything's always happening. When we tune ourselves to this frequency, and this goes back to what we briefly talked about, the Schumann resonance versus solfeggio scale and how that ties us here. When the soul descends consciousness down into any planet, we are agreeing to access the consciousness in the elemental of that planet. For instance, a lot of us feel a very deep Jupiterian connection. So many feel a very deep Palladian connection. So many feel a very deep, you know what I'm saying here? There's a lot of people that just resonate with these beautiful celestial bodies and places in our galaxy, right? Because we've lived lifetimes there and we've remembered what it was like to be incarnated through all of those layers. We have to go, in essence, from the smallest consciousness of being a elemental to a rock to, I mean, that's a long lifetime being a rock. And then you go up to ascending consciousness to a plant, then to a wild animal, and then to like the creepy crawlies and all these different things until you ascend to the human form, which takes a long time to get there. The most famous ascension of consciousness at the quantum level is the Buddha. When he was awakened under the Bodhi tree, he saw every single one of his incarnations, from
Wow.
being the plant life to the animal in the wild, and to the animal tilling the farm, into the farmer, that's when he woke up and he's like, oh my God, this is where he came up with the Four Noble Truths.
Wow.
Because it is about recognizing life is suffering. Why? Because we get to explore the good, the bad, the ugly of what is love from every aspect, with every different energetic exchange with people, places, and things. That's deep. And that's not an easy, agreement to make at any level. Because a lot of us here, at least the clients that come to me and on my sisterhoods and brotherhoods, we come with a lot of ancestral wounds, generational traumas, loyalties to illnesses or isms in our families, loyalties to abuses, loyalties to being a single woman with children, loyalties to hardships, loyalties to abandonments. And we make these because they're teaching us the deepest wisdoms of whether it's discernment, whether it's how to regulate my nervous system, whether it's what do I need to do to heal my womb? What do I need to do to learn to feel safe and trust within myself and then build trust in those that are worthy of my time,
Mm.
worthy of my intimacy? I love to share to people there's no unresourceful people, only unresourceful states. And it's when we're in those unresourceful states, we repeat the soul contracts that originally start off as a soul debt. And a soul debt is simple. Like, I'm going to walk you through the process of this. It's really fascinating with the Akashics. When they showed me this decades ago and how I explain it to people, it makes sense at the quantum level. A soul debt might be, you and I were supposed to go meet somewhere and we're going to go have lunch. And so it's like, well, okay, great. We're going to meet somewhere. Awesome. And on the way there, I'm not feeling it. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. Boom, I already set off like something in the quantum field. Okay, I'm worried, or I'm not feeling quite right, or physically what's going on. And I'm not honoring that maybe I'm feeling a physical something or a psychic something or an emotional something. I give myself space to ground before I can really step into being present for you, right? So I abandoned myself in that transaction. Where is that harkening back to? Not listening to my needs, not honoring my space, not giving myself that pause for breath work, for tapping, for toning, whatever I need to regulate. And I push forward, putting your needs in front of mine. Oh, was that's abandonment lesson. Soul debt mark on my soul contract right there. Because the soul remembers, they're like, okay, you were given the opportunity to give yourself that. And you weren't even being able to show up authentically for your meeting. You weren't able to show up authentically for your friend because she needed to have someone hear her and, whatnot. So was then I end up throwing a soul debt to you because I wasn't present for you. That amplified it now. So it becomes
Mm.
a soul lesson. If I don't step into recognizing what I need, how can I show up the best for you? And if I still keep not listening, the soul ramps it up and ramps it up and ramps it up until it becomes apparent in different areas of my life, whether it's financial, whether it's friendship level, whether it's dietary, whether it's sleep, whether it's this. And then eventually it becomes relationships at a deeper level. So those become soul contracts that become really painful. We call in lovers or partners or business partners that really wound us and buckle us to our knees sometimes. And we're crawling out of those exchanges, all because we did not honor our original debt.
Or our truth, or, standing in our power, not giving it away.
Mhm.
That word abandon, I realized just how often I was always abandoning myself, looking
Yeah,
for validation outside of me
yeah,
to validate whether or not what I was doing was good enough instead of me standing in that truth. And what eventually ended up happening is I didn't know how to trust myself anymore
mm,
in my decisions because I was so far removed from my truth, my true identity
mm,
of what it is that I loved and what sparked me up because I was waiting for others to tell me if it was
right.
okay, if it was good enough. But I love how you really painted that picture. And I think it was so easy to follow and to see like how when you are abandoning yourself, how you're not being true or authentic, it does create
Mm,
like this ripple effect. And it eventually starts to become more of a pattern. And you start to see how you do one thing is really how you do everything. And so you really start seeing it amplified everywhere you go. And even though you're not consciously trying to manifest that, your subconscious is like, well, this is what you've been doing,
right, right.
this is what feels right, this is your pattern. So until you stop and you choose you. uh, right,
Yeah,
and that's why it's so amazing that we look for others for healing when the healing really starts going inward
yes.
and accepting yourself where you are without being hard on yourself, giving yourself that bit of grace and forgiveness and saying, like what you said earlier about the lessons that we're learning so that we have discernment or that we can have a deeper uh, feeling of gratitude or understanding the depths that love can really reach. And
Mhm.
so I think that's beautiful in the way that you presented that. So thank you. Um, you really supported people across spiritual, neurodivergent, and cultural spectrums. What do you wish the wellness and coaching industry understood better about true inclusion in the healing spaces?
Mm, beautiful question. I would love to see a more robust embrace of really seeing the whole individual and not really putting them into labels or compartmentalizing them oftentimes. I saw that when the clinical work that I was doing for a decade is how many people were just labeled, whether it was a DSM reading or a diagnosis or, oh, just they're having rapid cycling or they're just doing this or that. It's like, wait a minute, let's be more holistic and say, if they need grounding, then how can we bring in grounding for them and be medicine with them to show them that they are their own medicine? Is it breathing, just like that beautiful exercise you did? Is it being able to just do some tapping with them, look them in the eye, acknowledge them? A lot of people just want to be recognized and seen, the simplest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we struggle, whether it is to ask for that help or to find that space because we've not done the integration work of discernment. When we go into really doing integration between our medicines, between our healings, whether it's quantum healing or whether it's crystal Reiki healing or sound healing or whatnot, or plant medicines. It's two sacred sacraments. If we're not doing our integration work, we're not going to be able to authentically show up for anyone. And I see that rampantly happening a lot in the spirit field, in this whole community of the spirit community of wellness as well. One of the things I saw that really began to be embraced when I started to bring it into my my groups in treatment was bringing in sound healing and breathing for clients and giving them a space where they were not being told you're a trauma survivor, you are your trauma, or you are your addiction, and looping this verbiage and this narrative, which is just solidifying neural pathways in the individual, solidifying their nervous system to have this particular bar in which their emotions are going to be set. We look at
Mhm.
people like Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, the biologist, who talks about in the study of the biology of belief that every emotion has a electromagnetic pep charge, and an accumulation of dissonant frequency pep charges such as fear, guilt, shame, worry, anger, jealousy, all of these things. It leaves no room for a system to be in a healthy mind space or a resourceful state, as I pointed to earlier, and no place in which the person can create what's an epigenetic change in their cells. So when the mental health field only limits these particular narratives or these particular focuses for their client, I feel like it's a very deep disservice. And I would like to also see more integration in the medicine community. That would be amazing. Have people go and take your training, find out what it is to be trauma informed. It breaks my heart when my clients come to me and they're saying, wow, I was left out in the wild. It was like the Wild West after I sat with grandmother. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was like, you know, like switching every once in a while from that kundalini getting awakened out. So integration is powerful. Explore with the curiosity of a child your client's beautiful journey, your sister's journey after she sat in case she's not getting that support from someone. And you are capable of doing or holding that space as a mindfulness coach or a person that's able to be a sound healer, Reiki master, however. If you've got a beautiful medicine, share that medicine with people who need it.
Yes. My gosh, I think you use the word integration, and for me, what I hear when I recently, I think it would have been different a year ago when I heard that word, but I think now I'm seeing such an uptick in people talking about trauma, talking about healing, being in that space. So we know it intellectually, but I think the integration of bringing it into the body is where we are yet to get to. And that is where the true healing
Mhm.
comes in, listening to the body. The body holds wisdom. Would you agree? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we see this also in just your stem cells, your eight original stem cells that are at the base at your tailbone, that science is called junk DNA, but we actually see that the energy within it accesses at the quantum level your past lifetimes. You are in a toroidal field. You are in a biofield. The National Institute of Health coined this phrase in 2008. Look up that there's over 14,000 studies. Please do your due diligence and find out how amazing your spirit suit is that you created, and learning how to tap into it with these quantum, ancestral, and mindful practice of breath, igniting your breath. Why? It helps transmute the energy that's in your body, which is what you're here to do. If you don't transmute it, you're calling in that frequency of that soul lesson to stay rooted in you. You're not embracing yourself as that powerhouse of creation that you came here to be.
Mm, yes. Oh, and I think we get so lost, not we, I say I know for a long time I was getting lost in like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What my purpose? And I kept looking for it outside of me. And then when I was sitting there, like I did many times when I was in deep depression, just asking God, source, like what the purpose was for me to go through so much pain when I knew that there was a purpose greater than me, that I was born here to to give away. And in that moment, I heard the whisper of, it's not about you.
Mm.
And I was like, of course it's about me. And I was like, but it's not about you. It's through your pain that is the purpose that you bring to the world so that you can help bridge others who aren't as strong or not in the space to ask the question, right? So that you can help them through your gifts, right? Through my gifts of how I show up in the world is what makes me unique. Because there's so many people out there who are doing the same thing, but they don't do it exactly the way that you do it. And so a lot of
Yeah.
times people would shy away from doing something because they think it's oversaturated. But the truth is, you have a way of speaking. You have a way that you make people feel in the words that you choose, or the energy that you bring, or the way that you choose to incorporate modalities and how you express them in the world is so unique just to you, and your tribe, your soul tribe will find you, and you just get to be so aligned and know that, like for me, I'm sitting there going, I'm doing this podcast and I know that I'm bringing of service, and eventually the more I show up and be consistent, the more people will start to find me, and I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to make money doing this or if it's going to go anywhere, but the truth is I am here mostly because I think it's important that we all come together and share our truths, because the world is desperately crying out loud. And I stopped listening to the news because I realized that was begetting more of that energy in my field. And so what you focus on expands. And even if you focus on what you don't want, universe and source doesn't know exclusion of, it just knows you're focusing on the thing. So it brings you more of that thing. And so many of us were taught, right, to hide our anger or our numbness or our power. How can
Mm.
we as women safely reclaim our voice, our righteous rage, and transmute it into our sacred leadership?
Mm. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love this question. I believe it really starts with reclaiming our womb, reclaiming the sense that you agreed to be a carrier of the divine portal that brings souls from the higher dimension into reality in this dimension. Whether you're a mother or not, I'm not a mother, I'm a spirit mother. I was not meant to be a mother in this timeline, but my creativity flows from my womb space as well, right? I shared this a few temascals ago when I was, before we went in, that there are species that are given the beautiful role of carrying on wisdom for the preservation of their species. And
Mm,
we're seeing this in the whales of the waters, which carry the wisdom, showing their species where to hunt, where it's safe, where to go, what waters to flow, what they know. They're the carriers of the wisdom. They are also the most vocal, right, of all of the beautiful animals in the water. And then of the land, we have the elephants. They are a matriarch, wisdom carrying culture. They're one of the most magnificent, just their creation as an animal species to me is a beautiful culture because they grieve their relatives. They remember, they remember generations after generations and generations of the same trails that their ancestors walked. They hold the wisdom of how to keep the wisdom of the alignment of all of those in the role in the matriarchal society. And then also the third one being human beings, women. We are the wisdom carriers. It is extremely important that we begin to heal our wombs and reclaim our wombs as those wisdom carriers, reclaiming the fact that we are here to bring that wisdom. The womb is not a space of fear or anger or judgment. It's a space of creativity, love, emotions, flow, wisdom. And so healing that, and I like to look at the different ways we can do that by breath work, whether it's reclaiming the visualization of sending your radiant light into your womb. There's exercise I like to do with my clients when we start breathing into that space. I visualize igniting the hydrogen, the oxygen, the carbon, the nitrogen, the phosphorus elementals. And then you begin to send that consciousness of radiant light through all your body into your elementals. As you infuse your body more, you begin to send more radiant light specifically to your womb. And you scan your womb with that light and that breath. Any dissonant frequencies, visualize it as a smoke, dissipating more and more with that light as you're infusing your womb. And see if you want to also visualize, sometimes we can see it as metal shards, and that it becomes a spinning sphere in the middle of the womb, condensing all past traumas, all past injustices, pains, miscarriages that were not carried for full birth term that created pain or wounds in our womb space, partners that disrespected us, partners that disempowered us, rapes, traumas. Just compress it into that metal ball in the middle of the womb, breathing deeply into it. And then as you see it spinning, take deep breath in of more radiant light and scream, pushing it out of your womb, because you lock in the activation of your voice and your womb space. I am now actively saying, I am here to take up space. I am here to be heard. This is my medicine. I completely am sovereign, and I release what no longer serves me.
Mm.
So it's really powerful to start with a good womb cleanse. And then if you want to sit and figure out like whether you need to do more flower baths or more yoni steams or more drumming or more acupressure, more, different ways that you can heal that your body responds to. My old medicine man would say it's good medicine for you if your body says yes to it, you know?
Yeah, and um, with anything else, I just remind people too, this is a practice, and you
Mm,
get to try different things and listen to what resonates. And I think that's what you beautifully invited us to, right? Whether it's acupuncture, nature healing, the wound cleansing. I love the
yeah.
visualization of really taking ownership of what is taking up space in your womb, as because there, I had I did two breath work journeys back to back, Saturday and Sunday, a couple weekends ago.
Mm,
And I got to tell you, like my intention was to release the things that were no longer serving me. And mind you, even though I had like a physical release, meaning with
mm,
my bowel movements, I could see that there was cleansing happening
yeah.
where I was up
Yeah.
all night in the bathroom.
Hmm.
But there, I had such an influx of creativity where I was up all day and night just writing, creating, writing, creating. And it just was like, where is this coming from? And it was
Mm,
because of the power of the intention of you really being in that sacred space. And mind you, I've done breath work before.
mm,
It was because it had amplified, because it energy, what I love about energy work is that the more you do it, the more it does start to profoundly impact the efficiency and efficacy of the healing. The more and more you practice, it's almost like the energy starts to evolve and remember
mhm,
what you had, where you had left off before. So it's super important. And I really invite anybody out there to look up some of these and try them and
mm,
just see what fits in your space. There is going to be something that you're going to resonate with that is really
mm,
going to help catapult your healing journey. And it's just
mm.
about starting with the intention of being curious and open to receiving.
Yeah.
So thank you for really so beautifully articulating the power that we hold in our own healing. Um, and, one of the big things that I always talk about is joy, joy being a superpower, joy being medicine, joy being a choice. And sometimes joy can also be like using joy as resistance and as ritual,
Mm,
right? Joy resisting the things that you don't want or that. So in the face of generational trauma
mm,
and systemic inequality and burnout, because I think we can all resonate with burnout,
mhm.
how do you make joy a ritual? Are there any practices that help you rise in your own remembrance every day?
My daily, oh my goodness. I definitely have a daily practice of prayers, and I do a lot of smudging, because not only are we being supported by the medicines of our Pachamamita, our beautiful Pachamama, that we are made of the same elements she is. So she has her medicines for us. For instance, sage, palo santo, um, a lot of times like rosemary is another one too. They have these various, and I speak about this often because it's really important to embrace terpenes, which is the essential oils in it. And how does that affect our biofield? Was when it's released, when the energy is released from burning it from a sage, it transmutes the energy from the physical state to the air state, and you absorb those terpenes. Your body receives it, drops your cortisol level, makes you feel calm, brings your nervous system into a balance, which is again supporting you and sinking into a resourceful state. So I do a lot of that. Prayer and intentions. Why? Because we're coupling together the consciousness descending of what my spirit is telling me to do, what frequencies, what sounds, what words, what I am calling into my path moving forward. And I'm bringing together energy ascending, which is the bottom half, the magnetic part of the body, coming together at the heart to manifest and co-create, which is my reason why we're all here. It's why we're all here to co-create and to create it in the way that is in the highest good for you and the highest good for everyone, right? So taking care of yourself by doing rituals, it's a huge one for me. I love my ecstatic dances. I love doing my drumming. I'm a big drumming fan. You know, there's so many studies by like the Heart Math Institute by Dr. Matthew Taylor. He came up with the sympathetic vibration theory. And he studied, the theory talks about how they studied, participants in the study were hooked up to different heart monitors. And people that were practiced drummers, drummers and shamanic drumming and stuff, began to drum. And the heart monitors began to register each individual's drum, their heartbeats began to regulate to the same heartbeat. In essence, amplifying the energy, creating a quantum grid, right? So the drum has a very deep and powerful medicine that we offer. So that's one of my daily practices as well. And I'm a huge fan of crystals. Huge fan of crystals. Why? Because crystals have elemental frequencies in which the body is accessing it for a reason, and it engages with the crystals within our body. Our bones, our blood has quartz crystals in it. And you better believe it gets activated. There's three things in this universe, in this world, in planet Gaia that are piezoelectric, that hold the property of being radiating energy and magnetic energy. And that's tourmaline crystals, quartz crystals, and the bones, all mammals' bones. So accessing your technology by using this is powerful. So these are definitely like daily practices for me that keeps me in alignment with my meditation and staying visualizing of what I want, where I want to send it. And I always like to infuse everything of my daily intentions into my pineal gland, infuse it with radiant light, and throw it off into my timeline, click it into place, and let's get going.
That sounds powerful. I love that. Um, when I was introduced to sound and tuning forks, it was definitely through biofield tuning.
Mm,
And I can hear there are times when I have this chime that's a 528 hertz, which is the
mm,
DNA repair, like love
yes.
frequency. And it resonates and sounds so beautiful. I mean, I could sit there and listen to it all day. It's almost meditative, which I think is the purpose of it, to help you get in that the alpha delta state, right?
Mm,
Where
mm,
manifestation and connecting to your uh, higher intelligence and higher and source lives. But I ring it and I can feel it resonating. And it actually helps me take a deep breath in. I could feel that's how I know that energy is moving, right? When I take deep breaths and I can move it around and I could hear dissonance in certain parts of my aura
yeah,
field.
that's your
And those are
biofield.
the places that have the the incoherence. And I love what you talked about the Heart Math Institute. There's so much research there that talks about the importance of having heart brain coherence in manifesting
Mhm.
into in the, when you have heart brain coherence, you really are a quantum manifester in that sense because you're not fighting yourself, right? It's in alignment. And I think a lot of that is through meditation, through sound, through drumming. Drumming is powerful, powerful. I think a lot of shamanics use it to trance themselves into the other realms, to thin out the veil, to connect to spirit. So thank you so much for bringing that, and the importance. And there's so much. She's said breath, crystals, essential oils. I love essential oils. I use them. At the moment I started using oils, I saw an improvement in my kids' health, overall mental state. I diffuse it when I feel stagnant energy, and it really helps uplift the space. It's just so super powerful. Um, so thank you so much for this conversation. It has been so beautiful, and I love, um, in the direction that we went, it being very spiritual, connecting back to our cultural roots, to the truth of how our ancestors lived of the land, by the land, connected with the land, because we all are elementals. We are one consciousness, one being, and the more that we can see everything else as a reflection of us inside, the more we will start to, I guess, be responsible for how we're showing up and how we're treating others and how we treat the earth. There's a song that I wrote talking about Mama Gaia, Pachamama, not needing to be healed. She just needs to be loved, right?
Yeah.
Because your joy is her medicine. Your laughter is what helps her breathe and
Yes.
expand. So there's something to be said there. But as we close up this interview, I wanted to offer a closing activation for the women who are listening and perhaps who don't feel like they belong, who
Mm.
wonders if her story even matters. What truth would you want to whisper in her soul right now? Yeah.
Mm. Your story comes birthed from thousands and thousands of galaxies to be who you are, to be the radiant expression of love, strength, vulnerability, emotions, dance, wildness, ecstatic joy, bliss, and radiance of your wisdom, specifically your wisdom, who knows only the intimacy of the paths and every step that you've taken to be who you are. May you embrace the power of the phoenix and the thunderbird. May your wings spread and fly high with the sight and the vision of the eagle. May every step be as strong, passionate, and courageous as the mother jaguar. May every movement that you have and every breath connect you deeper with the medicine of the mother serpent, evolving and releasing, letting go so that she's in constant growth. And may the fire in your heart be placed there with the loving wings and chirps of the hummingbird, so that you may always seek and understand your path will always be aligned if it is followed with love. The flowers and the fruits will always be there for you.
Mm, so poetic. Thank you. So beautifully said. Just wanted to pause and let all that beautiful wisdom just ground in my soul, and for you out there to just take it in and receive it. And we're closing, as we close today's sacred part, Sparkcast, let the truth echo in your being that you are not broken. You're remembering. You chose this life, this path, this moment, not to suffer, but to awaken, to reclaim your voice, your womb, your power, As Lumina reminded us, Source wants you to thrive. And your healing, well, it isn't separate from your power. It is your power. So let this be your invitation to stop hiding, to stop labeling yourself or others, to start integrating all of it, the science, the spirit, the stories, the sound, the stillness. You are our sovereign woman, a wisdom carrier. Your womb is a well of creativity, love, righteous rage, and sacred leadership. Your voice, yeah, it's medicine. Your joy, it's proof of your return. And your presence, it's so divine. So take up space, drum, scream, smudge, pray, laugh, love. Let your breath
Yes.
become your bridge. Let your light become your legacy. And above all, remember who you are. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, coming home to you is not a destination, it's a devotion. And you matter because you are enough. So if you heard something here today that resonated with you, that softened you, or cracked your heart open just a little more, I ask you to please share this with your sisters. Spread your light. Go inward because you matter. Subscribe so that you can get more of this content on your journey to remembering. So until next time, I am Margarita Rose. I'm so grateful that you are here. I'm so grateful that you're here. And I'll see you on the next Sparkcast. Be well.
Lovely.
Stop the recording.